respect for the proceedings and in consideration of others in the audience, please turn off any sound emitting devices such as your cell phone or turn them to silent mode. If you'd like to address the board today on any of the discussion items on the consent calendar,
the April 26th San Diego County Board of Supervisors regular meeting to order. I'll ask the clerk to please call the roll.
thank you, Chair Fletcher. Supervisor Anderson.
Here.
Supervisor Lawson-Remer.
Here.
Supervisor Desmond.
Here.
Vice Chair Vargas. Chair Fletcher.
Fletcher here. We will begin with the invocation. The invocation will be delivered by Rabbi Levi Hoskin from Chabad Jewish Center of Rancho, San Diego. We will turn it over to you to lead our invocation.
Hi. Thank you, Chair, and on behalf of Chabad and Rancho Santa Fe and all the 25 Chabad centers in San Diego, thank you for proclaiming Education and Sharing Day in honor of the Rebbe's 120th birthday, and thank you to all the volunteers today. Master of the world, who created all in love, teach us to love all that is good and beautiful in this world. Teach us to honor the dignity of difference, recognizing that one who is not in our image is nonetheless in your image. Never forgetting that people not like us are still people like us. At this beautiful moment in the human story, bless us that we may be a blessing to others. Guide this prominent Board of Supervisors to honor you by honoring one another, so that by reaching out with love, we may turn enemies into friends and become your family on earth, as you are our parent in heaven. Beloved God, bless each of the members of our County Board of Supervisors. Please guide their deliberations that we may govern America's finest city and county with wisdom and justice, grace and compassion, bringing honor to your name and your blessings to humankind. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much. Please be seated. We will now proceed with our proclamations. I will give the first proclamation honoring Fred Baranowski, and accepting this proclamation will be Alethea Argules.
Good morning, Board of Directors. On behalf of Fred Baranowski, he wanted to share a few words.
Thank you, Chair Fletcher, for this honor. When I started with First Five, sitting in your seats were folks named Horn, Cox, Roberts, Jacob, and Slater. The sheriff was Collender, and the DA was Dumanis. I guess I outlasted them all. Seriously, it's been a privilege to have served with people like Alethea, Martin, and Karen, who do great things for a great organization like First Five. Please continue to support them. Thank you.
Thank you, Alethea, for the reading the statement from Fred. Fred was unable to join us today, but he is watching, and we want to come together as a board and really commend and honor and recognize Fred for his diligent and faithful service to the children and families of San Diego as the First Five Commission of San Diego Finance Committee Chair for the last 15 years. Fred has dedicated 15 years, not just to First Five, but as the Finance Chair, and I am incredibly grateful. He will continue to serve as an at-large member, but we're incredibly grateful for everything that he has given, the tireless work he has volunteered to do. You know, a lot of people get very excited about a new policy or a new idea or a new program, but Fred got excited about the nuts and bolts of governing, about crunching numbers, about making sure the finances were in order, and without the critical skills of budgeting, First Five would not be able to do what it has done over the last 15 years because of his selfless work. To say Fred has been an exceptional chair is an understatement. For the last 7 years, he's led the First Five Commission of San Diego's annual CPA audited financial statements to win the Award for Excellence in Financial Reporting from the Government Finance Officers Association. As a vital member of the Finance Committee, Fred Baranowski has worked with and collaborated with the First Five Commission staff, independent CPA auditors, First Five Finance Committee, and First Five San Diego commissioners to ensure that the finances of the commission are a model of accuracy, integrity, and necessity. Yet Fred will be missed as chair. But like everything he does, he's leaving in the most professional way possible. He made sure to leave as much of his knowledge and expertise behind. He made sure to provide guidance, tutelage, and mentorship to the fiscal staff to ensure the spirit and wisdom of everything he's carried forward for the last 15 years will continue. His impact will continue to resonate with the Commission long after he leaves this role. And so therefore be it proclaimed by the Board of Supervisors on this 26th day of April 2022 that we commend Fred Baranowski for outstanding service, leadership, and commitment to San Diego County, and do hereby to proclaim this day to be Fred Baranowski Day throughout San Diego County. Fred, we know you are watching, and we want you to know how much your county appreciates you. Let's please give a round of applause to Fred Baranowski for all of his work. Thank you, Fred. Our second proclamation will be from Vice Chair Nora Vargas and myself, honoring the Environmental Health Coalition, and accepting this proclamation will be Carolina Martinez. Thank you all. You know, every April, we're given a chance to celebrate Earth Day and recommit ourselves to some of the most important environmental goals: clean air, tackling climate change, access to parks and green space, and the vitally important work of environmental justice. The fight for environmental justice begins with an understanding that often the most vulnerable members of our society are the ones who live, work, and play closest to the most devastating and impactful forms of pollution. Here in San Diego, we are fortunate and blessed to have an amazing environmental justice partner and leader in the Environmental Health Coalition. Since 1980, they have worked to reduce pollution, improve the health and well-being of thousands of folks in underserved low-income communities in San Diego County. EHCs empowers communities to fight for environmental change from the ground up, a true grassroots organization. They've given thousands of community members the tools to fight for their neighborhoods, to fight for their children's health, and the quality of life we all deserve. I've been Incredibly honored to work alongside and often following the lead of EHC in a variety of important roles here in previous life, serving on the Air Pollution Control District, the California Air Resources Board, the work at the Metropolitan Transit System. I want to thank EHC Executive Director Diane Takvorian and all of the staff you see here for their tireless work, and would like to turn it over now to Vice Chair Nora Vargas, who is our new Air Resources Board member and Chair of our Air Pollution Control District, an environmental justice champion of her own right. So please welcome Vice Chair Vargas.
I am so honored to present this proclamation with you and to recognize Earth Day by honoring the incredible work of the Environmental Health Coalition. Earth Day recognizes not just the planet we live on, but the collective need to protect and purify the air we breathe, the water we drink, and the survival of our world from the rapid destruction of climate change. Our frontline communities of color, communities of concern, and tribal and indigenous communities continue to bear the heaviest cost of health and environmental injustices and challenge. This is where the work of Environmental Health Coalition has been crucial. Since 1980, EHC has worked to reduce pollution and improve health and well-being for thousands in underserved, low-income communities so that all people and communities have the right to live, work, and play in clean and safe environments, regardless of their zip code. Environmental Health Coalition has focused on shedding light to the environmental injustice industry and government invested in for far too long. Environmental Health Coalition advocacy and organizing has invested in building a network of community power, City Heights, Barrio Logan, National City, and also in Tijuana. Their environmental work in environmental justice and climate justice for our communities has been so important. It's been the focal point of discussions that have been elevated at the county for several years that has led to the creation of the county's Office of Environmental and Climate Justice so we can do our part to empower communities and regional planning to achieve our climate goals. Me da muchísimo honor para mí poder darles este honor ahora porque el trabajo que hace esta organización ha impactado a cientos y cientos de ciudadanos en nuestras comunidades. Así que muchísimas gracias por el trabajo que hacen para que nuestras comunidades estén más seguras y saludables. Así que, therefore, on behalf of our Chair Fletcher and the rest of the Board of Supervisors, we'd like to proclaim and recognize April 22nd, 2022 as Earth Day throughout San Diego County, and I would like to invite Carolina Martinez, Climate Justice Director with Environmental Health Coalition, to accept this proclamation and provide some remarks. Carolina?
Thank you. Good morning. It's an honor to receive the proclamation, and it's an honor to be able to work with low-income communities of color who are at the front lines of the climate crisis. When we provide solutions for our communities, we're providing the best solutions for our region, the planet, and frontline communities are leading the way in providing the best solutions for the planet, the air, and we look forward to passing the Let's Go measure, a measure that will transform our transit system. So look out for that and make sure you're signing the petitions. And thank you.
Yeah. Let's take a picture. Here, come back over this way. Our third proclamation will be from Vice Chair Vargas, honoring Victims' Rights Week, and accepting this proclamation will be our District Attorney, Summer Stephan, and team.
Thank you. I am honored to present this proclamation recognizing National Crimes Victim Rights Week, which was established in 1981 to raise awareness of the special needs of crime victims. The 2022 theme is Rights, Access, Equity for All Victims, which underscores the importance of helping crime survivors find their justice by enforcing victims' rights, expanding access to services, and ensuring equity and inclusion for all. We all have a part to play in reaching crime victims, especially those in marginalized communities, and supporting them on their healing journey. Every day, thousands of victims and witnesses receive assistance from victim supports of organizations, victim witness assistance centers, private services providers, and state and local governments. California has been an innovator in the victims' rights movement, establishing the first crime victim compensation program in the country in 1965. The first shelters for battered women were founded by women's advocates in Haven House in Pasadena in 1976, and Mothers Against Drunk Driving was founded in 1980 with their first chapter in Sacramento. 2 years later, California citizens enshrined victims' rights into the state's constitutional through the Victims' Bill of Rights. Every year, the observance of National Crime Victims' Rights Week focuses on the problems confronting victims of crime and the services available to support them. The respect, dignity, and protection of victims' rights within the legal process is one of the most critical components of an effective criminal justice system. With that, I want, on behalf of Chair Fletcher and the rest of the Board of Supervisors, we'd like to proclaim and observe this week, April 24th to April 30th, as National Crimes Victim Rights Week throughout San Diego County. With that, I'd like to invite our District Attorney, Summer Stephan, to join us in accepting this proclamation and deliver some remarks. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Vice Chair Nora Vargas, Chair Fletcher, all of the board and community. I can tell you this is an extremely meaningful day. I'm here on behalf of the thousands of victims of crime who suffer unspeakable harm, and they often have to live with it for the rest of their life. The ability to recognize them today, what this board has done, truly lifts up their spirits and makes them understand that we stand with them as a community, that we will support them through action. We will provide the services, the dignity, the mental health care, the trauma care, the support systems for their children in order to interrupt cycles of violence where kids grow up in homes of domestic violence, human trafficking, and abuse, and think that the only path is to become a victim or a perpetrator, being able to break those cycles. This is a very meaningful proclamation, and maybe best to explain the meaning of it is through introducing who is with me today. Briefly, I know it's a large group, but I promise you this group represents thousands of others, and I am so glad you joined me today. I want to start briefly with Ginny Sharbat. Ginny is the mother of Kathy Sharbat that was murdered due to domestic violence, and with her is Alex Lutz. And the key to why Ginny's here is, despite the unspeakable suffering of a mother losing her child, she cared for her granddaughter, Madison. And then she realized that many grandchildren who lose their parents to violence don't have grandparents that they can take care of them. And so she built Kathy's legacy and silver linings to provide that care and support. And we work through our victim services with Kathy, of course, Kathy's legacy, and Ginny, to make sure that all children receive a silver lining of that love and support and the things they need. Celeste Hunter is with us today. There's Celeste. Celeste lost her brother to violence, and then she joined UPAC and became a grief counselor. And the community depends on her in times of violence to show up and to support them and to provide her personal experience of how to survive. And also with us is Lisbeth Perez, and what a story. She's an immigrant, a mother, suffered domestic violence and had to fear deportation while trying to keep her children safe. And the end of the story is that Lisbeth now works at the DA's office and provides that hope and care at the Care Center and Victim Services for all victims. And also with us today is Trish Martinez. Trish right here. Trish is an Indigenous woman, and she represents the women, children, and men that suffer harm or violence in our 18 tribal governments that we have, and she is our liaison to them, to understanding the plight of harm. And also to sort of wrap up, but last but not least, is our team at the DA's office led by Linda Kenya, who is the director of our victim services, Alana Harrell, our program manager, Tarane Sarabanya, who is a victim advocate and a leader. And what they do along with the team is they serve 12,000 victims of crime. They show up to crisis scenes like the Poway synagogue shooting, like when the child was murdered in front of his school. They are there to provide crisis intervention and follow the victims throughout. And what I worry is about their compassion fatigue because of they serve each one of them 100 new victims a month. So I want to thank all of them. I want to thank you, Vice Chair, for this great honor to all of us and the thousands more. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Thank you, Summer. And thank you all. Thank you all very, very much for being here today. Thank you again all for joining us. Our fourth proclamation will be from Supervisor Joel Anderson, honoring Padres legend and Cy Young Award winner Randy Jones. And accepting this proclamation will be Mr. Randy Jones.
Before I start, I have a little bit of a confession to make. When I was in high school, Randy Jones signed a baseball for me. I still have it in a very sacred place. It's the only baseball memorabilia that I have, and I cherish it. So before I just wanted to share that because this is a great honor for me. So good morning, everyone. It's an honor to recognize a community leader you've all seen around San Diego, donating his time and energy to those in need. Randy Jones is known as the Junk Man, is embarking on his 12th year of hosting the annual Randy Jones Run, Walk, and Roll for Independence to help individuals with special needs. Randy is a true believer that all kids should have the ability to reach their full potential. He pitched for the San Diego Padres from 1973 to 1980, earning support from the San Diego community throughout his major league career. In chasing his dreams of playing the big league baseball, Randy made memories, lifelong friends, and was taught the value that will never be forgotten. Throughout his hard work and passion for helping those with disabilities, Randy's raised hundreds of thousands of dollars for Home of Guiding Hands. Home and Guiding Hands is located in my district. It's a 501c3 nonprofit, and it provides community support, critical housing, and life skills training for children and adults with developmental disabilities. I would like to read here's the proclamation. And while you hold it, Randy, I'm going to read the last paragraph, and I learned from the last time I'm going to have it in bigger print. Be it proclaimed by Chair Nathan Fletcher and all the members of the San Diego Board of Supervisors on the 26th day of April 2022 that they commend Randy Jones for his outstanding philanthropic spirit and unwavering devotion to the special needs community, and do hereby declare the day to be Randy Jones Day throughout San Diego County. Now, I'm going to invite my colleagues to come down for a photo, because, Randy, you are an awesome guy, and I wanted to return the favor. Since you signed a baseball for me, I went ahead and signed a Jones jersey for you. I'm not sure it's worth as much as my baseball. Come on down, everybody.
That's beautiful, man. That's great.
If you like.
Man.
So, would you like to say a few words?
Sure.
Good.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, it's always an honor to represent San Diego. I've done it all my life. I've been blessed with being involved in stuff that I had a passion for as a little boy. I've got 2 plaques on my wall at home, and one's the 1976 Cy Young Award, and the other one is a little trophy that I won in 1957. We were Pee Wee League champs. And that was my first trophy, and I got my last. It was the Cy Young Award. And in between that was some great experiences. And I just can't say enough about our San Diego community, giving back to it. I've been here for almost 50 years, and you know, I love giving back to the charitable events that we all do, whether it be golf tournaments, whatever event it might be. But the Home and Gotti Hand just caught my heart in the mid-'70s and what they were doing and how they developed and all the people they make an impact on families. But they couldn't do anything in this community with all the volunteers, and I want to personally right now thank all the volunteers that come out for all my events and make a difference. They're the ones that really make me look good. You know, I'm just there and supporting, but it's all the volunteers. I know a lot of you volunteer for your charitable events and everything, and I thank you. And God bless you for doing that, and let's continue to do so, and we can make a difference right here in our community. Thank you very much.
Randy, thank you. Good to see you. We're going to be some Saturday things.
I know,
Come here,
man.
let's get a picture. Come here, let's get a picture. Come on in.
Where you go?
You want us in the shoe here?
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Our 5th proclamation will be from Supervisor Lawson Reamer and Jim Desmond, honoring Laughing Pony Rescue, and I will call them forward at this point.
Hey, hello. So, yeah, come on. I'm going first, yeah? Okay. Okay. All right. Well, thank you for being here today. Welcome, everyone. I'm honored to be here with my colleague, Supervisor Tara Lawson Reamer, in giving the proclamation to the Laughing Pony Rescue. And I had to read up a bit on Laughing Pony Rescue. But, you know, today we're celebrating April as the National Pet Month. And we also recognize National Therapy Animal Day here on April 30th coming up by honoring a local nonprofit, the Laughing Pony Rescue, which my colleague is going to expand on shortly. But you know, pets are lifesavers, particularly during the pandemic. And they can be a great aid in easing stress, anxiety, and loneliness. Many of us, I'm sure, have all had pets at some point in time or still do and just love them just like family. But having animals and pets assist in other types of physical therapy and can improve physical movement and motor skills and help develop social skills and encourage verbal communication and nonverbal communication, and increase confidence and self-esteem. So therapy animals who partner with their human companions bring comfort and healing to those in need. And so there are many working animals who've served also in the military, such as a handsome donkey named Dynamite. He was also a member of the Fort Irwin Horse Regimental Support Squadron of the 11th Armored Cavalry Regiment. Dynamite, he actually served his country by helping soldiers train for their development in Afghanistan, or for their deployment in Afghanistan, by hauling 75 pounds of military gear and artillery through steep, uneven, and treacherous rocky terrain. So if Dynamite can do it, Marine, you can do it. So upon retiring from his military duties, the Laughing Pony Rescue adopted Dynamite and provides him a dream retirement that even every veteran from our military deserves. So now I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Supervisor Tara Lawson-Remer, to talk more about the Laughing Pony Rescue. Supervisor.
Thank you, Supervisor Desmond. It is an honor to present this proclamation to the Laughing Pony Rescue, a phenomenal nonprofit in Rancho Santa Fe. Since 2010, Laughing Pony Rescue has rehabilitated and saved over 1,300 horses, donkeys, and farm animals from abuse, neglect, and slaughter. Their nonprofit educational programs continue to bring awareness of animal abuse and programs to combat abuse throughout San Diego County. Many of the rescued horses are part of the Laughing Pony Rescue Therapy Program, which has helped many people struggling from disabilities, illnesses, and other challenges like post-traumatic stress disorder. Whether it be young kids, veterans, or other individuals who have suffered traumatic experiences, Laughing Pony Rescue is there to lend a helping hand or hoof. In fact, I look forward to visiting them with my daughter in the near future. On behalf of the County Board of Supervisors, Supervisor Desmond, and myself, it is an honor to proclaim April 26th as Laughing Pony Rescue Day throughout San Diego County. We are joined by their staff and volunteers this morning. Elise Yinger will be accepting this proclamation and giving remarks on behalf of Laughing Pony Rescue. Thank you. Thank you.
First, let me say thank you to Supervisors Tara Lawson-Remer and Jim Desmond and all the San Diego supervisors for recognizing Laughing Pony Rescue today. We're honored to be acknowledged and to be a part of such an amazing community. Alongside me today are members of our Laughing Pony Rescue family, Celia Shiaka, the heart, soul, and founder of Laughing Pony Rescue, Kim Harrison-Ackley, our education director and the brains behind our horse rescue camps. And also with me today is Joe McCloskey, a key benefactor and Laughing Pony Rescue's business advisor. You might also notice that Joe is holding up a photo of Dynamite, the military veteran that Supervisor Desmond mentioned in his opening remarks. I would add that in addition to finding a dream retirement at Laughing Pony Rescue, Dynamite also found the love of his life, Daisy, another rescue donkey. And in fact, the two of them were married just a few years ago. It is particularly significant for Laughing Pony Rescue to be recognized during National Pet Month and so close to National Therapy Animal Day. Our pet therapy programs and day camps have served as outlets for many adults and children in San Diego County dealing with stress, anxiety, and loneliness. Laughing Pony Rescue is also committed to serving the community of San Diego through our educational horse rescue camps and our Girl Scout Merit Badge programs. As a result of these educational events, participants build their confidence and self-esteem, gain useful knowledge about the care and feeding of farm animals, and help spread awareness of animal rescue needs. Again, we are truly honored that the City of San Diego is recognizing Laughing Pony Rescue, our farm animals, our volunteers, and our mission with this proclamation. And we welcome anyone who would like to learn more or meet any of our farm animals in person, especially you and your daughter, Supervisor, to contact us and schedule a visit today. So thank you again very much.
All right, thank you. I'm going to get a picture of it.
Let's get a photo. You want to do a proclamation? Yeah.
Thank you all very much. Our sixth and final proclamation will be from Supervisor Jim Desmond, honoring the San Diego County Youth of the Year. And accepting the proclamation will be Ernesto Montano.
All right, Ernesto, we saved the best for last. Come on up. It's really an honor to extend this proclamation for the San Diego County Youth of the Year. So it's great to have the leaders of the Boys and Girls Club here as well from the city of San Marcos in the house. I want to welcome the president and CEO, Kathy Bauer, is here today. And Armando Lara is also here today, Director of Teen Services. And our special guest for the 2022 San Diego County Youth of the Year is Ernesto Montano. Ernesto, thank you very much for being here. Or Ernie, he goes by. So it's an honor and very well deserved. You know, for over 40 years, the Boys and Girls Club of San Marcos has been a leader in youth development with a mission to inspire and enable young people to realize their full potential and productive and responsible and caring citizens. And on a side note, I'd like to thank all of you for the great work that you do, because when I was the mayor of San Marcos, of the wonderful impacts that the Boys and Girls Clubs continues to have on our community. And Ernie, he's a 17-year-old senior at Mission Hills High School, and he's been a member of the Boys and Girls Club of San Marcos for 12 years. So Ernie has been recognized for his outstanding contributions to the community by serving over 400 community service hours. So I want to thank you very much for that. He's an active member in the Leaders in Training program, where he's a role model for his peers and for younger members of the club. So Ernie was the first member to be entrusted with a paid summer internship at the Boys and Girls Club of San Marcos, serving as junior staff, and he represented his club on a service trip to Hawaii. Wow, rough duty. Good job. Good job. Joined the Boys and Girls Club, where he actually got to help, and he was working. He helped renovate a fellow Boys and Girls Club there in Hawaii. So Ernie, you're a vital part of the community, and we're proud of all of your accomplishments and wish you continued success in your future endeavors. I know you will. Being a part of the Boys and Girls Club, I know, these kids, you get these experiences. How did you think you'd be in front of this many people someday? No, but it's phenomenal, and all the people you get to meet and the things you get to do. And the Boys and Girls Clubs of all of San Diego County are just phenomenal in all they do, and they help kids in need. They help kids with homework. They teach discipline and learning and show them many opportunities that they may not otherwise have. And so it's really a great organization. I'm proud to be giving you this proclamation today, Ernie. So be it proclaimed by all the members of the San Diego Board of County Supervisors on this 26th day of April 2022, we commend Ernie Montano for San Diego's Youth of the Year for his commitment to the Boys and Girls Club and to the community, and to hereby declare this day to be Ernie Montano Day throughout San Diego County. So Ernie, congratulations. Thank you very much. I'm going to give you this proclamation. We'll get some pictures if you want to. Yeah, you want a quick pic? Okay, here we go. Tick.
Yeah.
Real quick. Okay, all right. Okay. You're on. Thank you very much. Here we go.
Good morning. I just wanted to say thank you very much to my friends, family, mentors, Mission Hills High School, and for the Boys and Girls Club especially, for giving me the opportunity to go out to my community and being a leader, coming down from Salinas with no family. The Boys and Girls Club was really my second family, and it allowed me to be myself, to go out to community, help those, especially who didn't have as much. So, yeah, thank you for Boys and Girls Club and everything they've done for me. Thank you.
All right, great. No, go back to it.
All right, thank you, Ernie. Next on the agenda is non-agendized public communication, an opportunity for the public to address the board on subject matters within the board's jurisdiction but are not on today's agenda. The only action the board may take is a referral to the Chief Administrative Officer. A reminder, according to Rule 4A, members of the public that are non-English speaking will be afforded additional time to facilitate translation. According to the rules of procedure, we will have 5 speakers in person and 5 speakers via phone, and the rest of the non-agendized public communication will be heard at the conclusion of today's meeting. At this point, I'll ask the clerk to call forward up to 5 in person and 5 virtual speakers.
Thank you, Chair Fletcher. We have 54 requests to speak on matters not listed on the agenda, 24 in person and 30 by phone. For those that requested to speak by phone, please dial into the conference line now using the instructions that were provided to you. We'll begin with the in-person speakers. As the chair indicated, we'll be calling the first 5 speakers pursuant to the board's rules of procedure. All the remaining speakers will be heard at the conclusion of today's session. As your name is called, please come forward and stand against the east wall under the murals until it is your turn to speak. You will have 2 minutes to address the board. I'd like to invite forward the following individuals: Karen Mulcahy, Robin Cohen, Crystal Irving, Michael Brando, and Rachel Randolph. You may come forward in any order. Again, I ask you to please state your name for the audio record.
Karen Mulcahy. Good morning, Chair Fletcher and Board of Supervisors. Children giving birth to their father's babies due to incest. Babies so chromosomally damaged they won't make it to their first birthday. Babies so severely physically abused, broken bones, so common in child welfare that we have a name for them. We call them broken babies. Some with head injuries so severe they will not make it till their first birthday. They will never function as independent adults. Parents so strung out on their drug of choice, whether it be meth, heroin, fentanyl, that they forget to change their toddlers' feces-filled diapers for days on end. Cockroaches line the walls, their cribs, the car seats. Hungry children who don't know when their next meal will be made. Children hiding in the closet, terrified and helpless, while their father beats up their mother outside their bedroom door. My name is Karen Mulcahy. I am a senior protective services worker for Child Welfare Services. I've been with Child Welfare Services for almost 12 years. These stories, these scenarios, these are the reality of my workday every single day. If I make a wrong decision at work, a child can literally die. But there's another reality I am forced to live with every day. That of living paycheck to paycheck by the wages I'm paid by the County of San Diego. Wages that we all know are drastically lower than the other counties in California. I have to budget every dime I spend. And I'm also a single mother. And my own children should not have to worry if their mother can put a roof over their head, if their mother can get their dinner on the table tonight. But due to these low wages I am paid, that is in fact my children's reality as well. We deserve a contract that is fair and deals with the cost of living and inflation to continue to do this important work that we do every day. Thank you.
Next speaker, please.
Good morning. Hello to Chair Fletcher and the Board of Supervisors. My name is Rachel Randolph, and I work at Polinsky Children's Center. I have worked there for the past 9 years, and I am a residential care worker supervisor. Today, you will be reviewing the next proposal that we are asking you to support our members. Residential care workers and residential care worker supervisors are the heart and soul of Polinsky. We are the individuals that work directly with San Diego's most vulnerable children day in and day out and receive the least respect. Polinsky is understaffed daily on all shifts, and in order to maintain CCL and PCC ratios, we must use non-county contracted staff. Many reasons we are short-staffed in pay. Our pay is not comparable. RCWs and RCCSs are assaulted and injured and are unable to return, and often we receive no help from management or SDPD when dealing with extreme behaviors. As many of you know, the laws have changed for children under the age of 18. Many children that enter Polinsky have assaultive and dangerous behaviors that put RCWs and RCCSs, as well as the children we are protecting, at risk. Some of these children come committing crimes where they need to be in more secure facilities that would help them physically and their mental needs. Many staff at Polinsky are severely injured, requiring physical therapy and even surgery. Many do not recover from their injuries. Regardless of the risk, we show up each and every day and give 100% to these kids. The equity study did not give those residential care worker classifications an increase due to not having other facilities to compare it to. Residential care workers do the task of correctional deputy probation officers and receive $7,000 less each year. Premiums for Polinsky RCCSs and RCWs have been proposed to you, and I ask that you understand that we request percentage.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speaker, please.
Good morning, Chair Fletcher and the Board of Supervisors. My name is Robin Cohen, and I've worked for the District Attorney's Office for over 10 years. Today, you will be reviewing our next contract proposal, and we are seeking your support. As a member of SEIU Local 221 and the bargaining team, we have made every decision in the scope of bargaining within the framework of how it will positively affect recruitment and retention. We have named our campaign, "The Time Is Now." Currently, there are thousands of job vacancies across county departments, as well as retirements that hit every spring. Staffing shortages create increased workloads, which leads to low morale, burnout, and turnover. This cycle continues and then perpetuates. Many believe workers simply don't want to work anymore in the current labor market, and I agree. They no longer want to work for low wages, evaporating benefits, and long commutes. San Diego County is the third largest employer in the region. As such, we should have a comprehensive and competitive salary and benefit package to recruit and retain. Thousands of people should be applying for these once sought-after positions, but it's simply no longer the case. Recruitments in the county remain open for extended periods, and sometimes job seekers don't even show up for scheduled interviews. The situation that we are in requires urgent attention and action. I ask you to consider making a significant investment in the infrastructure that is San Diego County, its workforce. A workforce of essential workers that kept services continually going for the citizenry of this county in the midst of an ongoing global pandemic. A workforce that has seen our wages remain stagnant and benefits decrease in the last 20 years, while at the same time watching the county reap the benefits of underpaying its staff. We need a strong contract to send a message to county workers that they are valued and respected, a contract that can help alleviate the skyrocketing cost of living in San Diego.
Thank you. Next
Thank
speaker,
you.
please.
Hello, Chair Fletcher and Supervisors. My name is Crystal Irving, and as you know, I'm the president of SEIU Local 221. I'm here today because, once again, you are about to review our offer for contract negotiations and closed sessions. And I have to start by acknowledging that your opening offer is much more than where we ended contract negotiations in 2017. And that matters, and your leadership matters. And while that is true, there is another truth coexisting, and that truth is that the opening proposal is still not enough for our members who are facing record inflation, soaring cost of housing and groceries, and terrible gas prices. On Saturday, this front lawn was filled with hundreds of people that were here advocating for our families and the communities that we serve. There is more work to get us to a great contract, and our offer reflects 4 goals. Number 1, higher base wages in the first year. People need a raise now, and our members need relief now. Number 2, flexibility on the implementation of the equity study. The equity study is a tool, but it is not written in stone, and we need flexibility to ensure that the equity study does the most good for the most people. Number 3, we need premiums and steps to help with recruitment, retention, and the out-of-pocket costs that our members face daily. And number 4, we must collectively address the damage of Tier D. You've heard from some of our members today, and now we are ready to negotiate, and we need you to direct your team to work with us and get it done. Now is the time to make this happen for our members and for our communities. And before I close, I want to take a minute to stand in solidarity with our ISDF partners who will be speaking today in support of public restroom access for all campaign, and we urge that the board take action on this as well to ensure dignity, health, and wellness, and clean, accessible restrooms for all San Diegans. Thank you.
Next speaker, please.
My name is Michael. I'm glad to be back, and I'm not going to engage in toxic positivity. Toxic positivity, you know what I'm talking about, where you pretend to care for the people and don't. I've been looking over this rules of procedure number 4 that Nathan is always banging on his gavel and screaming. This rule number 4 is bogus. It's like a corporation contract. It's not in line with a constitutional republic. Another thing, there's section E in this document that talks about off topic, off topic. Mr. Fletcher is always saying, you're off topic. People only have 120 seconds to say what they want to say. Life is not this topic, that topic. Oftentimes, everything's holistic. One thing connects to this, one thing connects to this. This seems like another way that you're trying to abbreviate or control people's speech. And that's a shame. Also, at the April 6th meeting, there was a violation of you, Nathan, on section 11, number 6. You were making harassing comments. Now, I'm not endorsing or not endorsing what anyone else says here, but you made the comment to a specific person, it doesn't matter who, your behavior doesn't reflect well on people who might have legitimate differences of opinion with what this board does. By that statement, Mr. Fletcher, you are saying that that one person represents me or represents her or represents Nick Machione. It's another way of trying to intimidate and gaslight people. Lastly, Helen Robbins-Meyer, I'd recommend this book for your staff. It's called Malignant Self-Love, Narcissism Revisited. Narcissists, psychopaths, and abusive relationships. And that's what you've all demonstrated here.
This will be the first warning to the members that are in the audience. They're reporting the rules of procedure. There are no outbursts when we get to the agenda items, including non-agendized public communication. This is the first group warning. Please call the next speakers.
Now we'll hear from those that requested to speak by phone. Again, we'll be hearing from the first 5 callers. The remaining callers will be heard at the conclusion of today's session. When it is your turn to speak, you will be unmuted and you will hear a recording that will tell you to begin your comments after the beep. I would remind the callers that they should mute their TV or live video stream before they begin speaking. We'll begin with our first caller.
If I need that student to come back or anyway, then I'm fine. I'm willing to do whatever is possible. Okay. Okay. As long as you're stuck to the chair, right? Yeah, as much as I don't want to, but
For the public speaker, you're live. If you'd like to please state your name for the record, please.
Yes, my name is Russell Little. I'm the principal of Smythe Elementary School in the San Ysidro School District. Good morning, Chairman Fletcher and Board of Supervisors. I just would like to express my gratitude for having been able to collaborate with the Safe at School Early Alert program, the SASE program, which has helped us provide environmental testing as we transition safely back to in-person instruction here at school. We have been facing a lot of challenges, and the collaboration with SASE has been invaluable, and we would very much like to continue that collaboration in the next year. It gives us real-time science and data to be able to make safe and informed decisions. Thank you so very much.
Thank you. Now hear from the next caller.
Swallow. I were aware of programming for this program. Citizens don't think. Thinking leads to reasoning. Reasoning leads to right and wrong. Wrong leads to revolt. Revolt leads to bad citizens. I don't trust the government. I don't trust the medical, pharmaceutical, industrial complex. I don't trust the military industrial complex. I don't trust the mainstream media. I don't trust bankster criminals that own the bankster criminal cabal that owns the government, owns the medical, pharmaceutical, industrial complex, owns the military industrial complex, and owns the mainstream media. If you call me a conspiracy theorist, I don't trust you. Because 41% treason. Remember, if you are neutral in situations of injustice, you have chosen the side of the oppressor. The bankers will make sure that we remain in debt. Pharmaceutical companies and your doctors will make sure that you stay sick. The arms manufacturers will ensure that we continue to go to war. The media will make sure that we are prevented from learning the truth. And the government will ensure that all this can happen legally. We are the process of vibrating out of their paradigm. Hold on tight, because to survive in a nation of sheep, ruled by wolves, owned by pigs, you must become a lion. Never worry about what the sleepy ones think of you. They'll deem you crazy when you become wiser and informed, not because you are crazy, but because their illusions are threatened. And note, when they say they are predicting food shortages, what they really are saying is they are planning shortages. Keep your eyes wide open to all their evil lies, and know that you are so loved, protected. Stay awake.
Thank you. We'll now hear from the next caller.
Kevin Stevenson. So I'm going to say the exact opposite of what that stooge Michael said earlier. During the Board of Supervisors meeting on April 5th, Chair Fletcher called out the theatrical, rehearsed, hate-filled garbage that came out of the mouth of Jason Robo. 3 words: more of this. It's now April 2022. The Stephen Colbert-worthy clips from previous meetings wore out their welcome 6 months ago. I support freedom of speech as much as the next guy, but I don't support abhorrent speech going unchallenged. And I don't support how the ignorance spewed during these meetings has been allowed to fester for as long as it has. It is not fair to San Diego County taxpayers for these meetings to go over 12 hours long so that these grifters can get paid. My message to people like Robo and his friends is this: your 15 minutes of fame are over. Why don't you go make another failed city council run in Northern California like you were doing before 2021? You'll make a lot more money doing that, buddy. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now hear from the next caller.
Hello, my name is Amanda Remen. I am a mother of 4 students in Vista Unified School District. I am involved in many PTAs as well as advisory groups in our district. I implore you to keep SASE funded. In such a transitional time, while numbers have lowered, the guidelines are constantly changing. It is vital that we keep in place organizations and programs such as SASE that help inform the community of recent numbers, data, and recommendations on best practices during this ever-changing time. Personally, the SASE program at my child's school has made a huge impact on my youngest. She has always battled with high anxiety, which has caused simple tasks such as a COVID test to be difficult, stressful situation and normally end in tears. But since SASE has made the experience so informative and fun, my daughter is now looking forward to being tested and getting her SASE sticker. As a parent, I am so grateful for the information experience that the SASE program has given my family.
Thank you. We'll now hear from the final caller this morning.
Good morning, Board. My name is Kathleen Lippett. In the interest of public safety, I'd like to remind of the troubling trend of the increasing diversion and exposure of the public to high-potency marijuana products. 3 1-year-olds in a daycare center are taken to hospital emergency. Innocent victims of THC-laced goldfish crackers. Students bring THC-laced brownies to school. A bride laced her guest food with marijuana without their consent. There are venues where parents may voluntarily and knowingly assume the risk that their children will be exposed to marijuana advertising, consumption, or secondhand smoke. but not traditionally family-friendly venues like Balboa Park or farmers markets. Family venues should be safe from diverted, shared, sold, or free marijuana products. The industry cannot be blamed. Unimpeded, it will devise ways to expand, normalize, and develop marijuana products that appeal to children, just as the tobacco industry did. It will continue to divert marijuana products and expose children to those. Children are their future. Drug-free community events were once considered a best practice. Parents and vulnerable communities need your support to protect them from this predatory industry. Thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you. And Chair Fletcher, that concludes the request for non-agenda public communication this morning. Again, all remaining speakers will be heard at the conclusion of today's session.
All right, thank you. Next on the agenda is approval of the statement of proceedings minutes for the regular meeting of April 5th, 2022. I'll make a motion to approve. Is there a second? All right, we have a motion by myself, second by Supervisor Lawson-Remer. Please vote.
Chair Fletcher, that motion passes unanimously with all supervisors being present and voting aye.
We'll now proceed with the formation of our consent calendar. Members of the public will be able to comment on the consent calendar after supervisors have had the opportunity to pull any items they wish moved to the discussion, individual section of the agenda, or comments that they wish to make. I will begin with Supervisor Anderson.
Thank you, Chair Fletcher. On item number 3, I'd just like to comment to it. First of all, I'd like to thank Vice Chair Vargas for co-authoring this with me. On Friday, we received a letter of concern, and I just want to make sure staff addresses the concerns. I don't see it as a problem in the slightest, but I want to make sure that they address it. When people have questions, I think it's important to answer them. And then the second item on the consent is I don't want to pull it, but I'm wondering if we can bifurcate the vote on item number 26.
Sure, no problem.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Supervisor Anderson. Supervisor Lawson-Remer?
Yes, I'd like to, thank you. I'd like to pull item 24 and item 25. I just wanted to comment that I'm really excited about this progress. It looks great. I'm so glad we're adding a chief sustainability officer. These are just really necessary positions. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Did you want, but you only want to pull 24?
I only want to pull 24.
Got it. Right, Supervisor Desmond.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't have any to pull. I want to make a couple of comments. First of all, on item 1, ensuring the adequate aerial fire suppression support through the acquisition of a twin-engine helicopter. Thank you. I really want to thank the chair for bringing this forward. We need more of these, and I agree. You know, we need to provide the best firefighting capability and equipment possible. Many of the fires have robbed our county of life and property that have started in the unincorporated areas, and this twin-engine helicopter is going to help both day and nighttime fire suppression operations. So thank you very much for bringing this forward. Item 4, this is also another helicopter. This is an agreement with San Diego Gas and Electric for helicopter utilization. For fire suppression, I'm so glad to be doing all of this stuff now before fire season and getting ready, which I know our county and our staff and our new fire district is doing this constantly, but I want to bring that to light. In 2019, I authorized a board letter, brought it forward on this MOU with SDG&E, and I appreciate the partnership that this will add 2 needed helicopters to the current memorandum of understanding, which brings us to 5 firefighting helicopters, and with the approval of item 1, and we should be in well positioned to suppress fires here the next fire season. Also on item 12, this is the authorization for the extension of contracts related to the San Pasqual academies. I'm very pleased that this board supported San Pasqual Academy moving forward. And it's my understanding that after this contract has been extended, I'm hoping there's going to be many, many more referrals to San Pasqual Academy. I think we're down to like 41 youth right there on the campus that can hold a lot more, and if we can help a lot more, that'd be very, very special and very effective for this academy. So I look forward to all the exciting opportunities being developed at San Pasqual Academy, and appreciate the work being done by our child welfare services. And he already brought up Supervisor Anderson brought up item 26. Thank you very much. I'll make a motion to approve the balance of the consent calendar that has not been pulled.
All right, thank you, Supervisor Desmond. Let's go to Vice Chair Vargas.
Thank you, Chair Fletcher. I'm happy to second. I just want to say on item number 2, I am really excited. It's particularly because, I don't know if excited is the word, but in honor of National Crime Victims' Right Week, particularly because we are the safety net for our residents. I am particularly excited for item number 2 because we need to find ways of supporting those that are most vulnerable in our communities. So expanding our resources and services in crime prevention, crime intervention, and support for victims is really important for me. And so this forward action is going to really expand the capacity and services at the existing care center and set the foundation for the addition of a family, of expansion of services in South County. And so I'm really looking forward to that opportunity to working with our community and transforming the existing care center into community trauma recovery center. It's going to allow for services to begin immediately and address the existing gap and needs for our South County community. So I am very much looking forward to that opportunity. And then in addition to that, I also am appreciative of working with Supervisor Anderson on item number 3, particularly because of the work that we're doing around economic prosperity in our community. And as we're looking to make do more work around being more strategic around the region. And I think this really provides a direct response in our need and hearing from the community so that we can start working in silos and really working for opportunities to make our business communities have opportunities to not be so confused about some of the existing difficult navigating rules that exist in our counties. And so I really appreciate that opportunity. And then lastly, this item number 38, for me as an immigrant, this item is particularly important as I understand the inequities of our asylum and immigrant system, the termination of Title 42. Now more than ever, I think we should lead the way in building a just and humane immigration system that rises to meet the challenges of the current situation around the world. Our San Diego County has proven to be a welcoming place, and we must continue to provide the support and services to anyone arriving at our border seeking humanitarian protection. Throughout the years, I've been involved in various efforts to help individuals and families facing that difficult journey, as many of us on this dais have. And in numerous capacities that I've served, have ensured that our migrant families were connected to the services and resources they need to fully integrate into the community. So this is a very personal issue for me. Before becoming supervisor, was very involved in the San Diego Rapid Response Network and spoke many times before this board and the incredible work that has been done by folks on the ground to ensure that families seeking asylum are provided basic human needs. And so as a welcoming community, this is the direction we must go. And while I understand the litigation around lifting Title 42 by May 23rd is playing out in the federal court system, I think this board action is more important now than ever to continue the critical planning and investment of infrastructure for our community to be prepared and uphold our commitment of being a welcoming region. I remain extremely committed to this issue, will continue to be a fierce advocate, and will closely monitor the impact of these federal policies on our community. Look forward to updates throughout the proposed ad hoc committee. I do want to emphasize that, and it wasn't specific, but I want to make sure it's clarified that the ad hoc committee will work closely, and will ask that the staff work closely with each of the individual board members to seek their input as we're moving through this process, and work closely with the Office of Immigrant and Refugee Affairs as we're working towards some resolution as we're moving forward, so that all of our voices are part of the solution as we're moving forward. Right? Así que nomás rápidamente, la propuesta del día de hoy es particularmente importante para mí, para que de primera mano nuestro sistema migratorio, que es muy difícil, para que el Condado de San Diego sea destacado como una comunidad acogedora, y debemos seguir brindando el apoyo y los servicios necesarios para aquellos que lleguen pidiendo asilo en nuestra frontera. Por años hemos abogado en diversas capacidades para aquellos que piden asilo reciban recursos y servicios. Aunque todavía hay mucho trabajo que hacer por medio del título 42, antes del 23 de mayo actualmente se enfrenta un juicio federal. Esta acción de seguro nuestro condado está preparando para abordar las necesidades de proveer albergue a los que buscan asilo en nuestra región. Creo que eso es un primer paso para el trabajo que se tiene que hacer para mejorar nuestras comunidades. And so I want to thank my colleague, Chair Fletcher, for working with me on this important issue and ask my colleagues to support this item as well. And so I'm happy to second the motion with the rest of the items. So thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair. I'm going to go back to Supervisor Anderson.
I'm still learning how to do this job, so I apologize to my colleagues. I want to speak to item 38. We've always been a warm and welcoming country, and I want to continue to do that. But I'm also concerned that in my district, we're trying to put shelters together for the homeless, and it takes time to do that. I want to make sure that staff prioritize the homeless issue for all of us, and I also want to prioritize the refugees. The refugees are leaving their countries, fleeing with their lives, and have no place to go. So if coming across the border as a migrant isn't as essential as those fleeing with their lives. And so I just want to make sure that we don't go in and then all of a sudden I can't do anything with the homeless issue because now the shelters are filled with migrants. So I don't know if we need to have a discussion item on this or whether staff gets enough direction from that.
Yeah.
And I'd leave that to my colleagues. Thank you.
I think
Either one. You want to say something?
No, I was just going to say, so I think what's really important is these are respite shelters, right? So most of these folks already have a destination, so they're it's a transitional shelters, and I think what has been very clear, and I think our CAO can probably respond to this. Our unsheltered population is looking for a long-term shelter, which is why we have already invested over $85 million specifically for that population, and there's a lot of work that's being done specifically to address that issue, and that will continue to be a parallel priority.
I agree with you, and I just want to make sure that I say it though, because
I agree.
thank you.
And I think you know, to really echo the Vice Chair's comments, you know, we've done this a number of times as a board. And we've managed to find locations to fulfill this purpose that are not going to be suitable for homeless operations. If you have like the old family courthouse was a county building that was going to be demolished and torn down, but we had a window of time until it was torn down. We were able to use it, and so I think in these cases, I think we can tackle both of the critical needs, both addressing homelessness, which is a huge priority, and providing a modest effort here to ensure humane transitory nature as individuals, our asylees in particular, are connected to their family sponsors. I'm going to go to Supervisor Wasserman real quick.
Thank you. Yeah, I really want to take a moment to echo my support. I think it's just really important that we do take this initiative. We have a lot of folks who are transiting through our community, and we just don't have services, and we don't have resources available, and we don't have a plan. And I'm just very supportive and grateful of my colleagues, Supervisor Vargas and Supervisor Fletcher, for taking the leadership, and I know they're going to also be trying to chase down some funding to make this happen for our county, so thank you both. And I also just want to thank Supervisor Vargas for clarifying that obviously this is an issue that matters to all of us, and you know, we will all be sort of having input in the process as we you know, kind of work together as a board to bring forward some solutions at our county. So thank you for your leadership, and please go get us some resources.
Mr. Chair, if I could also,
Supervisor
on 38,
Desmond.
thank you, sorry about that. My staff told me, I think yesterday, that 38 was on consent, but I forgot, so I appreciate it. So just briefly, you know, I'm not in favor of terminating Title 42, but if the federal government does do that, we have to be prepared. So HHSA is the county health department. It's our responsibility to keep the people of San Diego County safe from tuberculosis and other diseases that may be brought into San Diego County. So I do believe this is a federal impact, a federal issue that greatly impacts San Diego County. So it's our job to protect San Diegans by providing a centralized location for health screenings, for infectious diseases, and to offer services to these asylum seekers with families and help them get to their destinations throughout the country. It's frankly disappointed that without the county's effort, these asylum seekers just may be dropped off at random transit centers throughout San Diego County, and that we'd be shirking our responsibilities if we allowed that to happen. So I'd like to thank, and I know Supervisor Vargas, thank you for bringing this up, or Vice Chair Vargas, about the subcommittee report. And I'd just like to ask that, before making any, in the subcommittee, any short-term or long-term policy decisions or solutions, that comes back to the full board. And I know you mentioned that, but I don't want to, find out about things in a press conference. So, and I understand the purpose of the subcommittee is for guidance and recommendations to the staff, and to do this as expeditiously. If you find money, go ahead and get it, grab it. But I just want to make sure the full board's in the loop. So thank you very much. And my motion stands here for the entirety of the agenda.
Thank you, Supervisor Desmond. A couple brief comments. Item one, I'm really excited to see this come forward. The reality is we need a twin-engine firefighting helicopter in our county firefighting arsenal. This has been a long-desired goal of making sure as a region we're better prepared to fight wildfires. And I appreciate us coming together. I want to thank the Sheriff's Department for working to help find the available funds in Prop 172 and fund balance so we can move rapidly on the purchase of our first twin-engine firefighting helicopter. It's vitally important. The single-engine ones we have right now cannot fly at night. They carry less water. It is not as safe for the personnel who are in the helicopter. They can't hoist as much weight. They're also limited in where they can go and pick up water. And a twin-engine helicopter will address all of these issues. We know over time we will need more than one, but moving forward now with one is the right step as we confront the realities of much more devastating risk of wildfire than we've seen in the past, and we upgrade our fleet air support arsenal. And so I appreciate greatly this effort that we're taking on this item. On two, I think we'll hear in a minute from our DA. I want to thank our DA and Vice Chair Vargas for bringing forward these efforts to help with trauma-informed care. I think these are really good. On item 5, I want to commend the Sheriff's Department for embracing body-worn cameras in our jails. Body-worn cameras have been a part of law enforcement officers out on patrol for quite some time, and I think this added level of transparency in our jails is needed, and I think it's good, and it's nice we're moving from pilot project to implementing this as a policy across the board. And so I appreciate Sheriff Ray and the Sheriff's Department for moving forward quickly on this. Item 11 is our application for Home Key. This is a good story as we create more desperately needed permanent supportive housing units. These units, once again, are going in my district in D4 where we welcome services and we welcome help for individuals who are struggling, particularly those with homelessness. This will be located close to the Family Health Center, is a wonderful partner, and the ability to draw down state funding, add in our own component of services, work with the city of county together is another step forward in tackling homelessness, and I think that's important. And then on item 38, look, there's some uncertainty around Title 42 in terms of when it will be lifted, but as a county, we know we have to be ready, and as a board, we have confronted this multiple times. When I first joined the board, we had to move forward and confront when the Trump administration ended safe release, taking the old county courthouse. We had to do it as we were working our way out of COVID with the unaccompanied children at the convention center. And so coming forward as a county to really put some thought behind how we work with the incredible partners, San Diego Rapid Response Network, Jewish Family Services, and others who are involved in this, for how we are prepared to meet the need in the event that when Title 42 is lifted, that we can ensure humane and compassionate engagement with those individuals who are coming, and also ensure that they are protected from human trafficking and the dangers that are out there, the risk that we've heard from law enforcement these individuals can face if not properly guided through a process and connected to their family sponsors, and then how we can work to develop the long-term sustainable approach so that future boards don't have to every 6 months or every year or every 2 years scramble to find a location to do this. I was in Washington, D.C. a week ago, had very productive meetings. There is federal funding available from ORR, from DHS, from Health and Human Services for different components of how we build out the capacity to be able to shelter and transit those who are working their way through our migratory system. And so I really think we have an opportunity, and I really appreciate Vice Chair Vargas's leadership on this. Someone who set up the Office of Immigrant and Refugee Affairs in the County of Los Angeles, has been intimately involved for many years, and certainly knows and lives every day the immigrant spirit and what that brings and the value that that adds to our county. And so I appreciate Vice Chair Vargas's leadership, and we will keep the board completely apprised on all potential options, both for short-term, how we might deal with Title 42, along with the long-term planning, again, so future boards are not in a situation of having to scramble for this. So with that, the only item that we are moving to discussion will be item 24, which we will take up first after we go through the consent. So we have a motion and a second. After we hear from public speakers, we will be taking 2 votes. The first vote will be on all of the items on consent, minus item 24 that has been pulled and minus item 26. We will vote on that first. Then we will have a standalone vote on consent on item 26. But before we do any of that, let's hear from our public speakers. And I'd like to invite first up our district attorney, Summer Steffen, who is here to speak on her item brought forward. And we welcome our district attorney to our board meeting, and turn it over to you.
Thank you so much. Good morning, Chair Fletcher, supervisors. I'm Summer Steffen, San Diego County's district attorney. And I'm just honored to join Vice Chair Nora Vargas in item number 2. It is a leap forward for services in the South County region where these services are needed. One little example of a case that is going on currently, a mother who is a mental health worker, a professional, she lost her 15-year-old son to gang violence. And she was contemplating very negative things, as everybody can understand. The services in the South County were not available. They were available to set up an appointment 2 months later to get mental health care, but she did not have bipolar or schizophrenia. There's a different kind of trauma that comes with violence, with losing a child, with being a victim of domestic violence, being a victim of human trafficking, that must be addressed immediately, or it's going to have long-term effects. And even when it's addressed immediately, victims suffer, but the suffering doesn't result in them doing destructive things to themselves and affecting the whole family unit. So this was spurred, this thought, and then being able to join with Vice Chair Vargas on this item. We will put the footsteps forward in the care center, expand the services immediately to provide this missing, immediate, acute trauma care that will interrupt cycles of violence and help build up children to be safe. One little statistic is that 80% of mothers and children on the street, the statistics show they experience domestic violence and human trafficking, and that led them towards homelessness. Being able to interrupt that through comprehensive services not only is the humane thing to do, but it also helps address homelessness and address public safety. And then, of course, building the foundation for a regionalized family justice center in the South County, with the North County one, after 4 years of hard work coming on board in late June, we will roll up our sleeves and work with this board on opening something in the South County. So thank you so much for acknowledging and being willing to invest in the lives of our victims so that we can prevent and intervene in cycles of trauma and violence. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you to our district attorney. We will now hear from the public speakers on the consent calendar.
Thank you, Chair Fletcher. We have 30 requests to speak on items on the consent calendar, 22 in person, and 8 requesting to speak by phone. As a reminder, item 24 has been pulled from the consent calendar for discussion. So any members of the public that requested to speak on item 24, you can hold your comments until the board begins discussion of that item. We'll have public comment on that item separately. Any members of the public that requested to speak on the remaining items in the consent calendar by phone, please dial into the conference line now using the instructions that were provided to you. We'll begin with the in-person speakers. As your name is called, please come forward and stand against the east wall under the murals until it is your turn to speak. I'll be calling you in groups of 5, so please listen for your name. We'll begin with those speakers in favor: Zachary Schlegel, Gia Paulo Croce, Andrew Prakash, Michael Brando, Audra, Mary D. If your name is McCall, please come forward and please state your name for the audio record.
Good morning. My name is Zach Schlegel. I'm here on behalf of PATH, People Assisting the Homeless. I want to thank the county for their support of this El Cerrito Home Key project. The partnership between the county, city, housing commission, family health centers, and PATH would bring 40 much-needed new housing units online. The location has the support of the neighborhood, including longtime community organizations such as Mid-City Can and elected officials like Council President Hilo Rivera. It's in close proximity to transit, local schools, neighborhood markets, not to mention family health centers, newest community health center, and other important facets of everyday life. Many thanks to David Estrella, Nick Machione, and all of the county team who moved quickly and decisively to get this project funded. We urge your support of this critically important item, and thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Good morning, everyone. Hello. Thank you. My name is John Paulo. I'm here on behalf of my family and my family's business in Alpine. Speaking on topic number 3 today. Essentially, my parents, they took over a business that's been in Alpine for about 25 years, about 11 years ago, and we infused our family culture in there. We turned it into a really our family restaurant. And the way that it's designed, there's actually a bar adjacent to our restaurant that serves the restaurant operations. And the restaurant was able to develop to be a very family-oriented operation, but the bar never really, got there. So we discussed internally as a family, how can we turn this into more of a family-friendly business? And so we decided to, based on my childhood, when we came from Italy, my mother used to bring me to Chuck E. Cheese, Dave & Buster's. So we're like, let's put some games in, let's make it a more family environment. And so we did. And it actually worked. I mean, we saw families coming in together, having lunch, the children playing. I mean, it was just really like our dream honestly came true, and it was beautiful. About 6 months in, we were informed that we needed to apply for an amusement license, which we were unaware, so we did. And then we became aware of a discrepancy that basically doesn't allow for minors to be present where alcohol is served. And so only in the unincorporated county of San Diego. In the incorporated area, that was okay. So Dave & Buster's and Chuck E. Cheese, they're able to do that. And we evidently were not able to. So I was advised to write a letter to the county supervisor, and I did. And I was so excited to hear a response, and it's been such an incredible experience to communicate with all of you and your representatives, and to be represented and to be heard as a member of the community. So I just really want to say thank you for, at the very least, hearing us out and working with us to explore this. And I really hope that we're able to pass this, because I think that we have become kind of the community meeting area where families do come together, and that was our intention all along, to just be a family business, be a thriving member of the community, and just allow a place for people to come together and just be together and enjoy each other's company. So it's working out, so I hope that we can continue to do so. So I hope that we can be represented equally to the other areas of San Diego. Thank you so much.
Next speaker, please.
My name is Andrew Prakash. I was supposed to speak on item 8 and then 13 through 16, and I think all these items require some analysis and explanation. So I don't know how you grouped them all together just on the whim. But acceptance of donations from the San Diego Honorary Deputy Sheriff's Association is item 8. County of San Diego Administrative Court, Article 3, Section 66, acceptance of gifts and Board of Supervisor policy. Acceptance and use of gifts and donations. Permit the acceptance of gifts and donations by the administrative heads of each department in the county, subject to the Board of Supervisors approval. Of course, that makes perfect sense. We have a solidified 3-2 vote to let the corrupt decide what gifts should be accepted and when. Maybe it's my many years in audit, or maybe it's just common sense. But I have questions about these donations. Questions you can't answer, because if we did dig into what you were doing, truth would be revealed. I'm not here to debate whether the public display is good or bad. What I am here to say is that it raises questions on whether the people running the system are compromised or bought and paid for, and by whom. I also see there are a bunch of new items brought up by the sheriff on this particular day where you approve of these so-called donations. And agendas 13 through 16 have further analysis as well. How does that work? Do I come back, or do I get 24 seconds to talk about that?
You have 2 minutes to comment on all the items on the consent calendar.
So in 19 seconds, there's another 3 items that the board decides whether those donations should be accepted or not. And we have questions on where it's coming from, by who, and what these donations are. Because they do compromise you, and they do make you partial.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
All right, I'm going to remind the members of the audience who are here, according to the rules of procedure, there is no clapping or outbursts on the agendized items, and I ask you to comply with the rules. We want to get through the board meeting with everyone remaining in the chambers throughout and with the public being a part of this. So I just remind you of the rules of procedure and ask for your assistance in adhering to those so we can get through our meeting in a as least disruptive way possible. We'll go to you.
Hi, Mary D. here. First, item 38, this absolutely should not be on the consent agenda. It should have been a separate discussion item. Second of all, I am calling on the supervisors for item 26, teleconferencing, to vote no and the Groundhog Day renewal of powers. It is time to give back the keys to the COVID powers castle. The emergency is long over and teleconferencing. Ethical politicians hand power back at the earliest opportunity, not drag it out going into year 3. Also, show up on time and stay for the whole meeting. With only 4 meetings per month, surely you can prioritize the public for that minimal amount of time. To not do so is job neglect. Lastly, I want to again address the issue of clapping during meetings. In this past Sunday's article, Chair Fletcher claimed that his new rules of procedure were, quote, modest steps. It is one thing to make rules that rein in vitriolic speech and the use of pejoratives. That is a modest step to not negatively attack another person. It is quite another to ban the simple act of clapping. That is egregious overreach and suppression of our First Amendment rights. The act of short, respectful clapping is an important feedback mechanism for the board to gauge public thought and opinion. Much like you tally votes and e-comments to indicate what the margins of support or opposition are, respectful clapping response provides vital data and feedback to you as well. You are now denying us that important feedback mechanism. Please revise the rules to rescind your ban on clapping. I should not have to come before you like Oliver Twist. Please, sir, may I have my First Amendment rights back? Your immigrant honoree from April 5th meeting said it best of all. Free speech.
Sorry, ma'am, I'm going to pause your time for 1 second. Sir, in the third row from the back, your clapping is disrupting the conduct of the meeting in the black shirt. I'm going to ask you to please stop. These are the rules, and you can speak against the rules, or you can run for the board and change the rules, or lobby the board to change the rules. You can do whatever you want to do, but while we have the rules in place, we're going to follow them. And if you don't follow the rules of procedure, then consistent with the rules of procedure, you will be removed from the chambers. Now, I don't want to do that, and we've been through this a lot, but the choice is you either follow the rules, or we will follow them in enforcing them. So this is your first warning. We have 1 group warning and 1 individual warning. I wasn't talking to you. Did I say sparkly cowboy hat? I said the guy in the black shirt beside you. First warning. Continue, ma'am.
Okay, and just for the record, this is at least my 4th incident where I've come before you and asked to reclaim our rights to First Amendment. Responsive clapping is not disruptive. It is a feedback mechanism. Your honoree from April 5th said it best. Free speech is a human right. Thank you.
Next speaker, please.
Audra, Jim, I got 11 cents for you. You said if you found, do you want it? No. Oh, is it not enough? That's cool. So anyway, follow the rules, Nathan. Follow the rules. It's like I wanted to talk about all these other things, but you're breaking the law. And you know that trumps breaking a rule. What is it about breaking rules? You gotta follow the rules. Yeah, well, if they were following the rules, they would have you arrested. That's why we need a new sheriff in town. Anywho, yeah, you're bringing in Homeland Security to work with the sheriff, who also works with the UN. So great. Yeah, you want to relocate 59 households for 4 months. And each household, that's going to be $9,322. Is that? I mean, I would like to get that. That's great. And then also, yeah, you're bringing in a BSL-3 from Placer County. Wondering why we need that when you guys, are you planning another outbreak? Probably. You're using ARPA funds all over the place. That's why we're in an emergency, because then you just keep getting all these funds to pretend like you're gonna spend it when really you're not gonna do any of that or help anybody. The fact that, let's see, the fact that you put all of these in 2 minutes is pretty ridiculous. You're not allowing us to even address 28 items in 2 minutes, but you like that because you know you're going to vote it through. Where's Nora? Does she not need to hear anything because she already knows how she's going to vote, just like all of you guys do? It's a problem, but you need to start thinking about the fact that you're talking about rules and you're going to detain people for your rules when it's the laws that you're breaking. And those are superior to any rule, Nathan. But you wouldn't know because you don't even know what you took an oath to do. And that's why you will be replaced.
Thank you. As the next speaker is coming forward, I'd like to invite 5 additional speakers: Sandra Martinez, Chad Vivas, Mark Dorian, Jason Robo, and Consuelo.
My name is Michael. I'm going to speak to agenda item 20, and I'm also going to ask you, Mr. Fletcher, to not violate your rule E about off topic. As I said earlier, things are holistic. One thing connects to another. And I'm against item 20 because it's based on extortion and bribery, and people continuing to say there's a state of emergency in this local area. When you walk around, talk to people, ask people, see what they see with their eyes, there is no state of emergency. Item 20 is only allowed to go through because Jim Desmond and other people keep repeating that there's a state of emergency and voting for it. So no, I'm not for the COVID-19 stimulus package funds being used to do these things because it's based on extortion and bribery. You're getting the money from the corporation of US Inc. and coming to the corporation of the County of San Diego, pretending to be a constitutional republic. It's all lies, and people are waking up. Blessed be God forever because of that.
Next speaker, please.
Mark, militarization of the police. Your proposed group oversight of how drones are used said nothing about public oversight of their programming. Programmed for any purpose with no conscience whatsoever. This violates the Posse Comitatus Act. To quote a 2020 article from NPR.org, federal departments ranging from the Department of Justice to Department of Agriculture have grant programs aimed at hiring more police, equipping them, and constructing new police facilities. Some experts say that federal involvement undermines community accountability and focuses more on enforcement than minimizing harm, end quote. Your militarization of our police department, coupled with California's banning of good rifles in 1989, is treason against our Constitution. You have appointed a sheriff who refuses to fulfill his oath of office to uphold our Constitution. I doubt Putin would have invaded Ukraine if their citizens had AA-12 shotguns, as the Russians do. You and Newsom have made us just as vulnerable as Ukraine, and I do not believe you are stupid. And since Biden is strangling Putin economically with sanctions, perhaps Putin will attack us directly through our southern border, which Biden is opening by closing Title 42. And you are building structures to house them while our homeless veterans suffer. Brilliant. In 2019 and 2020, the UN posted a disturbing job ad in New York. This is the verbiage of the position. The position is located in the Disarmament, Demobilization, and Reintegration, DDR section of the Office of Rule of Law and Security Institutions within the Department of Peacekeeping Operations in New York. Within delegated authority, the Disarmament, Demobilization, and Reintegration Officer will be responsible for the following duties: act as a focal point for disarmament, demobilization, and reintegration, DDR, components for 2 to 3 missions, responsible for planning, support to implementation, and evaluation. This occupation is a direct invasion of our soil and pure treason by UN globalists.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Good morning, Board of Tyrants. I'm Chad H. Vivas. I'm speaking in opposition to item number 13, allowing exception of donations and funds and gifts from HHS. This is how dark money funding works, with how groups such as Arabella Advisors do. It's a way for you to remedy the liens against your surety bonds that are being placed against you. And as we all know, Nathan Fletcher, you're part of the World Economic Forum and you attend the meetings in Davos. You are working against the interests of the United States of America, and you're working on behalf of foreign interests like those of Klaus Schwab, whose Great Reset, so-called Great Reset, calls for the imposition of a global government, the end of national sovereignty, the removal of private property and the introduction of a total surveillance state. And so I just got a couple gems from his top advisor, Yuval Noah Harari. These are the people you're working for.
Never allow a good crisis to go to waste, because a crisis is an opportunity to also do good reforms that in normal times people will never agree to, but in a crisis, you see, we have no chance.
So these are the people you're working for. Here's Klaus Schwab.
Legal,
talking about genetic editing.
Kinds of possibility that you are changing what it means to be human.
So you're changing the way it means to be human. These are the people you're working for.
People could look back in 100 years and identify the coronavirus epidemic as the moment when a new regime of surveillance took over, especially surveillance under the skin, which I think is maybe the most important development of the 21st century. Humans are now hackable animals. You know, the whole idea that humans have, you know, they have this soul or spirit and they have free will and nobody knows what's happening inside me. So whatever I choose, whether in the election or whether in the supermarket, this is my free will, that's over.
Next speaker, please. Next speaker, please.
Next speaker, please.
Thank
Your
you.
time has expired. Next speaker.
They deplete our soil, they spray our skies, they mandate unjust and insane requests. They continue to lie to the people. They claim to have our best interests, but the truth is that we are the carbon they want to reduce.
Can you please state your name for the audio record?
Consuelo.
Thank you.
Money and control, that's what it's about. Not your safety, not your health, and definitely not about the future generations. Whether you identify as a male, female, a purple Twinkie, a taco, or a tamale, the real issue is that we are all being screwed. I haven't missed a meeting, a Tuesday meeting, since they opened up the chambers. And one thing to note is that the ones who have been paying close attention are all well aware of what these lying, fork-tongued supervisors have done and are still doing. It's frustrating, to say the least, of what they are getting away with. If you have an issue with what any of the regular speakers in opposition have to say or have said in the past, then clearly you are not paying attention and you are part of the problem. Because what we say here at the podium pales in comparison to what they are actually doing to our county and our world. Remember, as long as we are divided, they will continue to do as they please. They want to keep us divided and in the dark. The shift has begun. The veil is lifting. Pay attention, please.
Next speaker, please.
Good morning. I'm Sandra Martinez. Yesterday, the head of the IMF, which is the International Monetary Fund, came out and said, gee, I didn't know printing so much money was going to cause inflation. Hello. And has declared the banking system insolvent. I say that everything that's been done here has been a planned agenda to destroy and hurt us. I want to address item number 16, which is the Biosecurity Level Lab 3. So what's going to happen in the future is the government and its people and other experts are going to come out and say, we didn't know, just like the head of the IMF. We didn't know that printing tons of money would cause inflation. We didn't know that doing fake PCR tests would destroy livelihoods. We didn't know that lockdowns would kill millions more than the actual virus did through starvation. We didn't know that masking children would create psychological problems and decrease mental acuity. We didn't know we were doing that. Well, I suggest that you do not bring a BSL-3 down here to continue a prolonged epidemic that may or may not be causing as much problems as people say. What it is just to be another, oh, I didn't know that that escaped from our lab. Oh, I didn't know we were running more fake PCR tests to cull chickens, to cull pork, and to cull people. Please vote no on number 16, no BSL labs here, and no more I didn't know.
As the next speaker is coming forward, I'll invite the remaining speakers in person on the consent calendar: Lana Cotton, Robert Cotton, and Natalie Hayes.
Chase Narobo. On number 2, Trauma Recovery Services, there's a book called The Body Keeps the Score for people that care, unlike the supervisors here. It's about how we have outdated, ineffective therapies for trauma, and it's an unaddressed epidemic, and so your spending is putting money down the toilet, just like you did with a lot of businesses with the destruction of the local economy, another form of trauma. And like our freedom, you've crapped on the economy like a German porn star. And the Nuremberg Code violation coerced, induced mass molestations via Bill Gates' prick, and the subsequently suppressed adverse reactions are another form of trauma that you've induced on the population. So yeah, it's pretty hypocritical. You say you're going to do something about trauma when you create it. And as for number 26, with a teleconference meeting, I don't understand why you don't just make it part of the code. It takes over an hour for some people to drive here, and with gas the way it is, I think that it would be reasonable to just do that, and then you'd not waste time throwing it on your agenda. Make more room for us to comment on other things. But anyways, doubt that'll happen. Anyways, yeah, I appreciate even if people are cowards like Kevin Stevenson or whatever his name is, and these can of haters can go up. I don't care. I mean, everybody deserves their time. And as far as paying attention goes, though, you guys are bankrupt because you rarely even look at us. I mean, until I popped up on your radar so outrageously, you didn't even look at me. But we have 3.5 million people, and it's, you know, public comment should be ongoing, like for weeks at a time. The lack of engagement is a reflection of the lack of credibility you have with the public, and you are not worth the investment of their time. And your little chamber pot here is too small. It's like giving a teacup for Nora to crap in. And yeah, I think, do you spell your bored, B-O-R-E-D? Because you look so bored with your disdain and apathy you treat people. The lack of feeling for the multitude of eloquent and intelligent comments shows how spineless you are. Do you identify as invertebrates? And your interpretation of the Brown Act is doo-doo.
Next speaker, please.
Lana Cotton, consent calendar item number 38. I almost don't know what to say. I'm so angry about this agenda item. In the past year, hundreds of thousands of immigrants have poured across our border, and many were flown across the country to be dumped in the dead of night in unsuspecting states. Some may be asylum seekers, but many are drug dealers, terrorists, and sex traffickers. We really don't have a border anymore, and if we don't have a border, we don't have a country. Why the current administration is more concerned about the sovereignty and border of Ukraine than about the crisis at our southern border. Billions of our taxpayer dollars are being shipped to Ukraine. Our Border Patrol agents already have operational challenges created by the ballooning number of immigrants trying to enter our country. Thankfully, a federal judge issued a temporary restraining order to keep Title 42 in place. This is a huge victory for border security. Immigration regulations are not under local authority. You don't have funding for your proposal, and we all know if you don't get it, it will come out of taxpayer pockets. In addition, you stated you will provide shelter, food, medical care, legal services, and travel to asylum seekers. Wow, can I get that too? There are so many flooding the border. How will you assess who qualifies? By this action, you are signaling to the world, anyone can enter the United States and will be supported by the government. This will result in a wave of immigration, putting further pressure on an already strained immigration system. If Title 42 is lifted, will our state of emergency be lifted at the same time? Hope so.
Next speaker, please.
Robert Cotton. Good morning, board. Anybody here a Beach Boys fan? Wouldn't it be nice? Wouldn't it be nice if we all attended meetings and sat through the whole thing when we're being paid over $200,000 a year for our duties as supervisors of this county? I wanted to urge you to discuss among yourselves in this open session. There doesn't seem to be a lot of questions among yourselves in open sessions. Doesn't seem to be a lot of discussion on items. I want you to discuss whether it would be equitable to allow more than 2 minutes per speaker, a total of 20 minutes of public input before your vote on any ordinance, especially this ordinance that endeavors to implement broad sweeping social engineering, such as the one you are about to consider in the very near future, that goes far beyond well-established federal and state anti-discrimination statutes. Item 38 deals with the incoming flux of immigrants, those that come through the process of checking in and those who flood past our police and enter the country illegally. Are you going to be vaccinating fully all those people when they arrive in our shelters that we're providing? Are they going to be fully vaccinated and boosted once? Are they going to be fully vaccinated and boosted twice? What are we doing in that era? And who is going to pay? Yes, Nathan, you say you want to take long-term so future commissions don't have to deal with it. Let's just deal with what we have on our plate now.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
My name is Natalie Hayes, and I don't have anything written because everything's so different since I was last year in October, and it's kind of incredible that we can't clap. And you know, you say we could run for Board of Supervisors, but we would not win because you're all placed in these positions. So I wouldn't be a Board of Supervisor. I'd like to talk on 38. I hear a lot of talk about placing refugees and safety, and I happen to work in Mission Valley, and I work by a lot of hotels. And since last, maybe November, I have seen school buses picking children up and dropping them off at these hotels. And of course, they're probably refugees going to school. Probably. I don't have a problem with that. The problem is, I don't like that there's no checks and balances for that. I go to the window. Every bus, I go check it out. Oh, 7 kids got in, 7 kids got off at 3:20. I'm very concerned about these children. The Biden administration lost 1/3 of all children that came from the southern border. Are we going to do the same? Are we going to lose children that are coming here? That concerns me. 1 week by my work, which has got just so much crime, there was 2 ambulances, a fire truck, a man was assaulted. Why are we placing these families in this area? Why? Why aren't we talking about homeless vets? Why aren't we talking about just the homeless problem? Or how about American families? My daughter and her young family have been placed into my home because they lost their jobs. So I have a heart for these people, but I'd like to hear more about Americans and people who have been here and who work. But please just, my main concern are the immigrant children that come here. Don't lose them. Don't lose them to trafficking. Thank you.
Now we'll hear from those that requested to speak by phone. When it is your turn to speak, you will be unmuted and you will hear a recording that will tell you to begin your comments after the beep. I'll remind the callers that they should mute their TV or live video stream before they begin speaking. We'll begin with our first caller.
Hi, my name's Laura Rebo. Can you hear me?
We can. Thank you. Please proceed.
Okay, I'm talking on item number 11, and that should be taken off your consent agenda. It is not routine. A huge population of residents that are around the area were completely left out of any discussion and consideration for this project by the county. Nobody from the county reached out to anybody of us. And the person who spoke earlier and said that the community supported this is misinforming you. The community 1 year ago had lots of meetings with Family Health Services, who are going to be providing drug and rehabilitation services to the homeless population that are supposed to be moved into this site. But they told us that it's not going to be a homeless population site. They told us specifically that this was going to be housing for several levels of affordable housing, including workforce. And people in our neighborhood were talking about how this could be really good for the college students who are graduating and need affordable housing as soon as they get out of college. 1 year ago, we were told absolutely not, this is not a homeless facility, and a lot of people believed them. This site is directly across the street from a school that has kindergarten to 8. It's 1.5 blocks away from a church elementary school and 2 blocks away from a middle school. It is directly across the street, many streets, 3 or 4 streets, from residential homes where people are living, and they're going to have all these homeless people put right smack dab in the center of our neighborhood. You know, PATH has a good record, but PATH doesn't have facilities, residential neighbor.
Thank you. Now hear from the next caller.
Good morning, Honorable Chairman Fletcher and members of the Board of Supervisors. My name is Dallin Young, Public Affairs Manager with SDG&E, speaking on behalf of my 4,500 colleagues. The unfortunate reality of climate change is an increased threat of wildfire in our region. Because of this, we at SDG&E are hard at work strengthening our systems and facilities to reduce the potential of wildfires, as well as increasing our preparedness in case a fire does develop. SDG&E is proud to partner with the county and our local firefighters to increase our region's emergency fire response, which is why I'm energized to support item number 4 before you today. Our Erickson Air Crane and UH-60 Blackhawk can provide critical support to knock down fires before they have time to spread. Additionally, earlier this month, SDG&E completed our Ramona microgrid in order to provide backup power to the Ramona Air Attack Base, which is home to CAL FIRE and the U.S. Forest Service's aerial firefighting assets dedicated to protecting rural communities. Both of these efforts highlight SDG&E's dedication to wildfire prevention and preparedness, and we are grateful to the county and the rest of our partners for the collaboration. Of course, we always hope for the best, but in case an issue does arise, we stand by ready to assist. Thank you all so much for what you do.
Thank you. Now hear from the next caller.
Hello, my name is Sandra Miskowski. I'm calling today. I want to thank you, all of you board members, for all of the action that you are currently taking, and especially the items on this agenda. I'm speaking specifically toward item number 11. I am a person with lived experience. I work with HEAL Network and Lived Experience Advisors, and it was Project Home Key that got me housed from Operation Shelter to Home, and I feel so grateful that this is included in this agenda. We need more permanent supportive units to specifically serve people with disabilities and those that are chronically homeless and have needed permanent supportive housing assistance, and PATH and Project Home Key and No Place Like Home. These combined efforts will provide support for those individuals with greatest need. Not all homeless individuals are violent or a deficit to the community. We do want to participate, and housing is the best way for us to continue to participate in the community and to work. So I thank all of you for your work and your effort and for your support of agenda item 11 specifically. Thank you again.
Thank you. Now hear from our next caller.
Good morning. I'm Chris Olson, Chief of Staff at Jewish Family Service of San Diego, and I'm calling on behalf of JFS in support of item 38. Thank you, Vice Chair Vargas and Chair Fletcher, for bringing forward this board letter today. JFS is in full support and urges board approval. With the partnership and support of the county, the state of California, and all levels of government, JFS and the members of the San Diego Rapid Response Network have assisted more than 62,000 asylum seekers in total since October 2018 by providing respite shelter and services, including access to food and medical care to individuals and families lawfully seeking asylum in the United States. Your partnership has upheld our values of being a welcoming community for several years now, as you mentioned. The measures before you today will significantly strengthen the work being done with NGOs in the state of California's infrastructure of testing, vaccination, and resource centers where respite shelter is provided, and will create sustainable solutions to create pathways for immigrants to safely reach their final destination and support those settling in our region. Thank you, and we urge your support.
Thank you. Now hear from our next caller.
Hey, it's Truth. Item 3 is Nora Vargas and Joel Anderson pretending to care about the businesses they've ruined for the last 2 years. Item 5 is a contract to Axon Enterprise for body camera. Axon's ownership of police and citizens footage comes with terms of, quote, you grant us a transferable, irrevocable, royalty-free, worldwide license to use any content, end quote. Axon's body camera footage is not freely accessible to the public. It violates privacy laws and impedes due process. Item 7 is a federal program for terrorist acts in high-density urban areas. Maybe the Fed should have tried this program in Afghanistan rather than working with the Taliban. Item 16, county lab staff posed as engineers, claiming a structural issue in order to get a COVID testing van and a biosafety level 3 mobile lab. Items 18 to 21 are the supervisors spending over $1 million of taxpayer money in one day. Item 38, legally, the only way you guys can accept termination of the CDC's Title 24 public health order is to officially end the fraudulent emergency health order in San Diego County. DHS's Alejandro Mayorkas said, quote, we are putting in place our vaccination program, end quote. Perhaps there's going to be a little deadly mRNA catch to being allowed to enter the USA for future asylum seekers. City News Service added, quote, this is despite the CDC's admission that the vaccines don't stop the transmission of the virus and that vaccinated people are being hospitalized, end quote. Rep. Juan Vargas said, quote, Title 42 was never about public health and safety. It was implemented to deny due process. And Nora, you agreed. That means we Americans have something in common with the people flooding the border. We've all been denied our fundamental rights under the guise of public health.
Thank you. Your time is up. Now hear from the next caller.
Hello, my name's David Garcias. I live in District 1. I've called regarding item 38. I'm an Army veteran, the former president of SEIU Local 221. I'm a member of the Human Relations Committee and Commission, and a volunteer with the San Diego Rapid Response Network. First, I want to thank Vice Chair Vargas and Chair Fletcher for introducing this policy. I am so proud that this county is striving to do better, to become a welcoming community, and I'm speaking to express my support for this item, and providing respite shelters for immigrant families seeking safety and opportunity for a better life. The intent to terminate Title 42 in May of this year will help the backlog of asylum seekers who have been waiting at the border to be processed for asylum and welcome them with dignity, compassion, and respect in our community. Title 42 was a public health order that was used during the COVID-19 pandemic as an excuse to expel migrants seeking protection at the border. For more than 2 years, this cruel and unlawful policy has returned people to the danger they fled. As a native of Chula Vista, I've led and traveled on both sides of the border throughout my life. We as a border community have shown that it is possible to welcome newcomers with dignity and respect, in addition to centering public health by providing critical respite shelter and supportive services to individuals and families lawfully seeking asylum in the United States. San Diego County, as a welcoming community, must reaffirm its commitment to accept refugees and newcomers and should create sustainable short and long-term solutions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now hear from the next caller.
Stevenson. So I want to speak in favor of both items 26 and 38. But before I do, I would like to quote Rick Sanchez from Rick and Morty. Your boos mean nothing. I've seen what makes you cheer. So to the audience who keeps bitching about how, oh, Nathan won't let us cheer, won't let us clap, like, you cheer at the craziest things. But anyways, so item 26, I wholeheartedly support the continuation of teleconferencing these public meetings. I think it increases turnout. And item 38, I wholeheartedly support the termination of Title 42 because Title 42 is nothing more than a disgusting excuse to block refugees from coming into the U.S. under the guise of slowing the spread of COVID, which, by the way, people like Lana Cotton, who are fear-mongering about, oh, they're all terrorists or they're coming to murder our people. Like, first off, that's not remotely true. And second, you people only claim to care about COVID when it's an excuse, when it's a cudgel, a vehicle for you to push for your xenophobia. So spare me the fear-mongering about how, oh, we need to focus on our veterans first. Here's an idea. Why don't we help both? We help veterans and refugees. We don't have to pick and choose. So despite what conservative Democrats and Republicans have been saying, wanting to extend Title 42, I hope that San Diego County will call on the Biden administration to end Title 42. I know that there was a recent federal judge ruling that's putting a pause on their effort to do that. It's a fluctuating situation, but I do want to see Title 42 end, and I want to make sure that refugees make it to seek asylum safely.
Now hear from the next caller.
Manuel Gomez from the North San Diego Business Chamber. Item 3, correct the unfair regulation that create an asymmetry of supply in the market by creating artificial borders that affect the small number of businesses on the county. We support item 3 because it's important to the economic recovery and recognize a success opportunity for hundreds of small businesses in San Diego County. Thank you.
Thank you. And Chair Fletcher, that concludes public comment on the items on the consent calendar.
All right, we have a motion by Supervisor Desmond, seconded by Vice Chair Vargas. First, we will vote on all of the items on consent minus item 26, and of course item 24, which was pulled. That's the first vote we'll take. Please vote.
Chair Fletcher, that motion passes unanimously with all supervisors being present and voting aye.
Now we have a same motion by Supervisor Desmond, seconded by Vice Chair Vargas. This will be on agenda item 26 on consent. Please vote.
Chair Fletcher, that motion passes with Supervisor Anderson and Supervisor Desmond voting no, all other supervisors being present and voting aye.
We will now go to item 24, authorization to advertise competitive solicitation for renewal of county direct access contracts. I will turn it over to staff for a presentation.
Chair Fletcher, members of the board, the item before you today is to request authorization to advertise and award one or more contracts for direct access to serve county facilities for up to 10 years. With us this morning, we have Marco Medved, the Director of General Services, and he will provide your board with a background on the program, the benefits to the county, and the recommendations before your board today. Marco.
Thank you, Ebony. Direct access was approved by the California legislature in 1996 and allows participants to hire energy service providers to purchase electricity or natural gas instead of relying on the local utility. Similar to a community choice aggregation, the local utility continues to manage the distribution and transmission of energy as well as billing. The program is managed by the CPUC, California Public Utilities Commission, and the county has participated for 2 decades. Currently, we have about 90% of our electricity account and all of our natural gas accounts participating. The county has a large portfolio of buildings and uses a proportionate amount of electricity and natural gas. We have over 1,000 accounts and nearly 11 million square feet of floor area. Our annual spend on electricity and natural gas is around $20 million each year. In recent years, a focus on renewables and building new facilities to be zero net energy and all electric has led to a reduction in natural gas use and lower electricity costs. It's also worth noting that nearly 20% of our total electricity load is provided by 13 megawatts of solar on our own county sites. However, the primary driver of electricity and natural gas cost savings continues to be direct access. Just last year, as you can see from these charts, our direct access purchases resulted in nearly $2.5 million in electricity savings from what we would have paid to STG&E, a 29% savings, and another $90,000 saved on natural gas. These savings have been consistent throughout our time with direct access and are expected to continue into the future. So to summarize the reasons for the county to continue with direct access, first, there's a track record of major cost savings with $25 million saved over the past 2 decades. Recent utility cost increases make it more important than ever now to continue with this program. Additionally, direct access allows the county to ramp up our renewable content in any manner proposed by the board. Currently, staff plan to increase the county's renewable content to 100% by 2030, as your board recently directed as part of the CCA effort. Today, we're recommending that your board approve the recommendations to allow the advertisement and award of new direct access contracts for electricity and natural gas at county facilities for another 10 years. And this concludes our presentation, subject to your questions.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. Thank you for the presentation. Let's go to our public speakers, and then we'll come back to Supervisor Wasserman.
Thank you, Chair Fletcher. We have 7 requests to speak on this item, 6 in person and 1 by phone. We also did not receive any e-comments on this item. Any members of the public that requested to speak by phone on this item, please dial into the conference line now using the instructions that were provided to you. We'll begin with the in-person speakers. All speakers are in opposition to this item. As your name is called, please come forward and stand against the east wall under the murals until it is your turn to speak. I'd like to invite forward the following individuals: Mark Dorian, Audra Consuelo, Jason Robo, and Chad Vivas. You'll have 2 minutes to address the board. I'll ask you to please state your name for the audio record.
Audra. So you want to go to 100% renewable power by 2030. And everything that is in the renewable power is totally contradictory to you wanting to save the planet. It's totally toxic to the environment. And if people have already gotten solar, you're taxing them. So it's like, we're gonna give you incentive to like go into this new way of life, but then we're gonna make you pay for it on the back end. What's new? And Nathan, when are you gonna change your vehicle to an electric vehicle? Because, I mean, the one outside probably gets like 10 miles to the gallon, but you know, rules for thee, but not for me. And, you know, yeah, we're carbon-based, as Consuelo was saying, so trying to decarbonize things, you're trying to eliminate all living things. That's good. That's your guys' plan. And I wanted to address 38. I'm going to do it anyway because I didn't have a chance. Title 42, you want to open up the border when you're claiming that there's an emergency in the county. So how does that fit into your agenda? It's not at the border, it's just in the county. So let's open up the border. And then, you know, there's 800 Ukrainians that have come in every day. Oh, too bad. That's okay. I have free speech under the Constitution. You took an oath to uphold the Constitution. So therefore, you're depriving me of my civil rights. All of us have a right to say whatever we want, Nathan, not just you.
Do you have any comments you would like to make on item 24?
I
According
do.
to rules of procedure, your comments
I
need
do.
to be
The rules.
relevant to the
So you can break the
agenda
law, but I can't break the rules. Are you going to arrest me if I do?
No, we're going to.
I was already detained the other day for breaking the rules.
Oh, your time's up anyway.
Is it? Oh, okay. Are you going to remove me?
Next speaker, please.
Board of Tyrants. Chad H. Vivas. I'm speaking in opposition to advertise for competitive solicitation. This is just more ways for you to receive dark money funding. As we know, of course, you're working for the World Economic Forum with Klaus Schwab. We'll just hear a couple words from him. Oh, never mind. It'll be from his advisor, Yuval Noah Harari. These are the people that you're working for when you go to Davos to meet with them.
Will walk around with biometric sensors on or even inside their bodies, and will allow Google or Facebook or the Chinese government or whoever to constantly monitor what's happening inside my body. The whole idea that humans have, they have this soul or spirit and they have free will and nobody knows what's happening inside me. So whatever I choose, whether in the election or whether in the supermarket, this is my free will, that's over. We have the technology to hack human beings on a massive scale.
These are the people you're working for and listening to when you go to Davos and you're working on behalf of Klaus Schwab. You're in violation of the U.S. Constitution. You are in violation of the Nuremberg Code when you illegally mandated these experimental gene editing vaccines on the American people of San Diego. And
sure, this item's not about vaccines.
Yeah. But it's about you receiving dark money funding. So this is the person you're working for.
But it raises manifold questions on the ethical.
Yeah, so the audio
that
you're
was
playing
next
is
year.
off. I'm going to ask you to restrict
Okay,
your
so
comments.
in regards to the banning ability to clap, the U.S. Supreme Court said this
Sir,
nation
this
is
item
founded on the
about
profound
energy
national
purchase.
commitment to
This
the
is your third
principle
warning.
that
If you
debate
not
of
go on
public
topic,
issues
you'll
shall be
forfeit the remainder of your
uninhibited,
time.
robust, and wide open, and may well include
Speaker's
vehement.
time is forfeited. We're asking you to please take your seat. Your time is forfeited. Please take your seat. Next speaker. Next speaker. Please take your seat. Your conduct is disrupting the function of the meeting. First warning. Next speaker, please.
Mark, first of all, you're a corporation, not a government. That's laid out very well in Clint Richardson's film. You can find it on YouTube for free. It's called, it's got a much longer title, but basically Corporation Nation by Clint Richardson. Everyone should see that. So there's a conflict of interest really because your goal simply in taking these competitive bids, you're only, of course, going to support someone who supports what you're doing, which is a globalist agenda. You're definitely aware of that. And the United States, it doesn't matter if you're right or left, Republican or Democrat. When Trump signed the USMCA document, in 2018, and Biden did not rescind it. Neither side told any of the people that Chapter 30 signs over their rights to be represented by electing people in government. Normally, the president and Congress and the check and balance system get.
Your comments are off topic. You need to talk about agenda
this
item
is very
24,
directly on
energy
topic.
purchase. Please revert your comments to the topic at hand.
Okay, the topic is you guys getting bids, and so I'm describing the situation that you're in. That's very relevant, who you are in doing this. So when Biden did not rescind Trump's signing of the USMCA, it handed over sovereign control over trade and immigration to a foreign unelected council. We only have one member on, and it's not elected, but he's not elected by any American citizens. So this is completely gets rid of any representation of any Democrat or Republican. And you guys are a corporation, you just want to make profit. So obviously, that's why none of the problems ever get solved, even though you're about to spend $24 million on homelessness. I could solve it for $10 million. I'll talk more about that later. In 1 week.
Next speaker.
Consuelo? Okay, so the board wants to take bids on alternative energy. Have you seen the homelessness in our county? I mean, people are waking up, and it's really sad that, you know, the people are showing up and, you know, everything that, all the concerns are falling on deaf ears. You know, it's really time. I don't even talk to the people on the board anymore. I want to talk to the people. It's getting serious. It's time for us to just start creating our new system, our new earth. We don't have to abide by anything that they say. We never did. We've always been free. We don't need permission, especially when these people who claim to be leaders and have our best interests, they don't. So it's time for us to rise together. As I said before, I don't care what you associate as. I don't care what you believe. I don't care your party preference. It's time for we, the people, to wake up.
This is about energy
Yes,
purchase.
the
Item
board,
24.
yes.
Please speak to that
And
item.
they, the purchase is they have sold their soul. So it's, like I said, it's time for us to get together, wake up, get involved in your community, and know that we win. The people win. Not your agenda, not what who you're working for. We win. And it's about love. It's just about love.
Next speaker, please. Final call for Jason Robo.
Jason Robo. So yeah, you want to advertise for contracts. First of all, I think the way that you do this contract stuff is just this whole weird circle jerk for you and your campaign cronies. But if you were going to be logical, which you don't ever do, is you would partner with like state schools and provide mentorship like programs and do environmental monitoring, or like deal with the software systems you always create these massive contracts for. And then you teach people life skills and then maybe do something to help the state, and it'd be a learning experience. But that would make sense. That was an idea I had when I was a chairperson or person of furniture. Is that what I should say? I don't know. At my university at Humboldt State. But yeah, this is contract disease. And yeah, if anybody watches the documentary Planet of the Humans, it breaks down how basically all this so-called renewable energy is just a bunch of nonsense, just like how the vaccine was supposed to make people immune and not have to wear a mask, and that was all a load of crap. And yeah, you just want everything to keep growing. It's like a cancer. And as far as CO2 goes and whatnot, the amount that we exhaust is the equivalent of a fart in a hurricane. There's basically like 9 shipping containers around the world that like exhaust more of those toxic gases and stuff than like all the vehicles combined. You can look that up. Anyways, and then there's nitrogen and methane are all problems which never gets addressed. The livestock system's totally psychotic. We've got the cow schwitz, I call it, over the 5. It stinks. And they have this crazy stuff where they want to put an oculus on the cow, basically, so it doesn't see that it's living in its own crap. And yeah, they want to put a mask on them too to prevent it. So this is outrageous. And Saul Williams, one of the greatest slam poets and hip hop artists, one of my favorites, he talks about how coltan is the new cotton. So the resources that go into your so-called renewables are exploiting people in nations around the world. But you know, you just want to put on a little show. This is all about a nonsense economy, is the middleman of power. And for alternative energy, I would say that we should have you no longer having power.
Thank you. We'll now hear from the individual that requested to speak by phone.
Truth. Direct access service allows people to purchase electricity or natural gas from an electric service provider, rather than directly from a regulated utility like the extremist organization SDG&E. The county has saved more than $25 million by purchasing energy this way, while direct access remains unavailable to residential accounts. Not exactly fair to San Diego residents, to say the least. Nonetheless, rather than tout the savings of natural gas purchased through the direct access method, these supervisors want to use that method to 100% switch to carbon-free, dirty, and expensive electricity by 2030. The current DA contract is with Calpine Energy Solutions. Calpine's entire website is all about the Rockefeller resilient future and the reduction of Scope 2 emissions. Scope 2 is from energy companies, and Scope 3 is everything and everyone else on this planet. That's you. But who's the conspiracy theorist creator of the scope chart the EPA uses? Why, it's the World Business Council for Sustainable Development and the World Resources Institute. The WBCSD is aligned with the World Economic Forum and the United Nations. Their members are some of the worst companies in the world: Google, Apple, Syngenta, you name it. World Resources Institute has members and alliances with the Council on Foreign Relations, the UN, the World Bank, and more. Their name tells you what they want control of. Both the WBCSD and the WRI have been working on this World GHG Protocol Plan, aka Control of All Resources, since 1998. Rather than provide direct access energy discounts to residents, it seems these supervisors are attempting to use the service to push us towards this GHG Resources Control Plan.
Thank you, and Chair Fletcher, that concludes public comment on this item.
Supervisor Lawson-Remer.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for to our county team for their work on this. First of all, I think there's no question we need to move this forward. Obviously, it makes a lot of sense to have direct access energy. I just wanted to pull this item because I think, you know, my hope is that we're taking every opportunity to align our county energy procurement plans with our sustainable goals and our sustainability goals. And so with that in mind, I just wanted to take this opportunity to you know, make sure that we're also looking at rooftop solar and moving towards rooftop solar in county buildings, and you know, building in the flexibility in our direct access contracts to ensure that we can move towards rooftop solar as expeditiously as possible to align with our county sustainability goals. So I'm firmly in support of this item. I just had a couple amendments to add to it. So if it's okay with the chair, I can just go ahead and read out the amendments that I would propose.
Sure.
Great. So I would request that the CAO return to the board within 60 days with a proposed plan to be approved by the board that, one, requires 100% of our county operations energy needs to be procured from rooftop solar, produced by solar panels located on county-owned buildings, land, or property within 36 months. So we would get to 100% rooftop solar by May 1st, 2025. Second, ensure that all such rooftop work, solar work to the extent feasible, is performed in accordance with the building and construction clauses contained within the Working Families Ordinance. And then three, directly related to this item, for the direct access contracts under consideration on this item and for all future county energy procurements of all types, request the CAO to return with a policy requiring that the drafting and/or amendment of all our operations energy procurement contracts support and enable a transition to 100% rooftop solar by May 1st, 2025. Should the policy pass, it would apply to the procurements being approved on this item as well. So again, I know that was a lot. I can send it to the chair. I can send it to Andrew. But just to make sure clear on the intent of what this is meant to accomplish, would be asking the CAO to return to the board within 60 days with a proposed plan to move to 100% rooftop solar, which we would have to then consider on vote on because we couldn't do it today. But most importantly today, ensure that this direct access contract and any additional or future direct access contracts are drafted in such a way that would allow us to move towards 100% rooftop solar if that policy is adopted by the board in the future.
All right, those were pretty substantive amendments. I think we should send them to clerk and put them up on the screen.
Great.
So we can all be clear what we're discussing here.
Mm-hmm.
Let me ask CAO or staff if you have any comments.
I do have a request for clarification on the first one. If I understand, it's to derive all of our county load off of county-owned building rooftops?
To return with the proposal as to whether that would be feasible, yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I'm understanding that that's not something we can decide to do today, but we can ask the CA to report back in 60 days with a proposal that would allow us to
Chair, if I may comment on the Brown Act on this, it's the comeback on it is potentially proper because it's a return, but extensive debate on rooftop solar here would not be on the agenda. So the return parts are, but as far as extensive debate on how that would work, that wouldn't be on the agenda.
So maybe we could modify to ask the CAO to come back within 60 days with the evaluation of an assessment of the feasibility of transitioning to 100% of the county energy load coming from rooftop solar.
Yeah, I think that's fine. Assessment of feasibility. I mean, I mostly want there to be some options for us to consider. So I'd say assessment of feasibility and some options to consider, something like that. Sounds fine to me.
If I may, Chair, go ahead. Well, I was going to say, Chair Fletcher and Supervisor, I'm not sure that that's even possible. So I'd want to make sure that we have plenty of time to discuss this, see your amendment, and come back. But I don't want to come back with a plan that we can't possibly achieve. So I think that This is substantial request. At the last minute, we haven't seen this before, we haven't analyzed this, so I don't have an appropriate response at this point in time. I understand you're saying come back in 60 days, but I don't want to give you any impression whatsoever that this is even slightly possible to have a plan to do that.
Helen, how long would you let? Helen, how long would you?
Second group warning. Hold on one
would you
sec.
like?
Hold. Pause, Supervisor.
Well,
Hey, the CAO and the supervisor don't need any help, right? The rules are the same. So we either adhere to them or we will finish this board meeting with no one in the chambers, which I don't want to do. I apologize. Go ahead. Sir, your comments are disrupting the conduct of the meeting. Your outburst out of turn for speaking are disrupting the conduct of the meeting. This is your first warning. Go ahead.
We will come back in 60 days, 90 days. We'll do the best we can. But I don't want you to think we're going to come back with a plan of how we can get there on something that may not absolutely be, it would be impossible to have our load carried 100%. Is that, I mean, you're the expert, but I just know the number of buildings that we have, and I don't think that's possible.
Yeah, we'll certainly come back with what we can do. Just as ref context, Charlie and company have put into place about 20% of our total load off of direct photovoltaics, and we had studied our entire county portfolio to get to that. It's fairly difficult to find all the roofs. But going forward, and we did, in fact, convert all the roofs at the COC to rooftop solar, so where it's possible, we are doing that. And we are also, any new building that we are constructing to zero net energy, which includes rooftop solar. So we will analyze it further, but I would say that, that large of a goal would be very
Would it be
very
more feasible to say as much as possible, aspirationally 100%, but as much as feasible? Would that?
Well, we already do that, Supervisor, but we'll continue to look at that. And then we also are coming back at various times with our sustainability report back, so we could actually include that with our sustainability report back as well. But Marco, I'll defer to you. But on the other amendments, also that was just amendment number 1. It's very difficult for me to respond to amendments that I'm just hearing. So why don't you let us digest the amendments? Perhaps we could take our break now, and we could come back after the lunch break and respond to the other amendments. If you could give us those amendments.
I just sent them to Andrew.
Okay. So it is 12:15. We will recess for lunch until 12:45. Will that give you enough time? Or go till 1? We'll go to 1 o'clock.
I need to also let them have a sandwich.
Yeah. So we will reconvene where we are here at 1 p.m. Thanks, everyone.